If you want to play a fun hero with a dynamic playstyle that's S+ tier at every level, look no further than Mo&Krill. Whether you're a new player or a high MMR sweat, Mo&Krill is an asset in any game. They're fast, tanky, and can entirely lock down an enemy for multiple seconds. Plus, who doesn't love a mole-man-rat smuggler dynamic duo? In this video, I'll be going through how to maximize their gank potential in snowball games. This is an in-depth look into the burrowing brawlers, Mo&Krill. First, for some basic credentials. I don't claim to be the best Mo&Krill player myself, but I've played him quite a bit, with moderate success. I have about 350 hours in Deadlock, and Mo&Krill is my most played hero with over 100 games at about a 60% win rate. This video will be broken down into 5 sections: laning phase, mid-game, late game, items, and general tips and tricks.
You messed with the wrong team.
Start with Scorn as your first ability. The burst damage combined with the heal make you a formidable duelist at level 1. During laning phase, Scorn is 90% of your sustain, so you want to be spamming it whenever you can. It's important to note, in mid-game, once you have T3 Scorn, make sure to always use it first when fighting. You can even use it while still in burrow. You just want to make sure you're maximizing the 15% bonus damage debuff. Mo&Krill's laning style is much more aggressive than the majority of the hero roster. You want to be positioned forward on the minion wave whenever possible. You don't want to be sitting back way behind the minion wave. With 700 HP, Mo&Krill starts with the highest base HP in the game. All of Mo&Krill's abilities are relatively short-ranged, including his gun. Also, all of their sustain is dependent on being able to use Scorn on the enemy wave and/or enemy heroes. Scorn also allows you to make surprisingly aggressive dives into the enemy waves due to the AoE heal. Even if you temporarily pull full creep aggro, if you're able to hit a few minions and a hero, you're more than likely able to win that trade. You can definitely overdo it though. You want short trades. Unless you have kill potential on your target, your trading pattern should be as follows: dash at or walk at the enemy if possible, Scorn, dump a few shots and maybe a quick melee, then dash out. You do this a few times and they will die. Certain matchups will force you to play safe and essentially just survive until end of laning phase. My least favorite matchups are Bebop, Infernus, and Vindicta. Your second ability unlock is Sandblast. This should mainly be used to help you win trades by limiting the enemy's ability to attack you back. At tier 3, this is one of the strongest debuffs in the game. At almost instant speed, it disarms all enemies in front of you in a cone for 5 seconds. More often than not, a good AoE disarm will turn the tides of any fight. At tier 1, disarm is a fairly long cooldown, so if you're in a duo lane, always try to hit both targets. An underrated use of the disarm is to prevent enemies from confirming souls. If a full wave is crashing at their tower, you can disarm them as the troopers are dying. This forces them to either melee the troopers, in which case you can harass them, or give up the souls. Your third ability unlock will be Burrow. You want to be saving up all your ability points to max this as early as possible. This is your primary ganking tool. The base movement speed on Burrow is pretty low, so it won't be used much until T2, or you've picked up a few early movement speed items, primarily sprint boots and fleet footwork. On Mo&Krill, it can be very helpful to get good at the dash cancel melee combo. This is extremely valuable for both trading and confirming souls. Mo&Krill's gun with its wide spread is also very good for denying souls. You should also be relatively close to the creep wave, which will make beating out your opponents to souls easier as well. Mo&Krill is a bit chunky and will typically attract a ton of bullets, so be prepared to take more damage than you're used to. Not only is his model very large, he has 2 separate headshot hitboxes, one for Maurice and one for Krill. Krill's hitbox is pretty much his torso as well. Also, be careful when positioning behind cover. You might have a few rolls sticking out. Sorry Mo. After lane, this won't be nearly as much of an issue because you'll be spending most of your time in burrow. Once you get your ultimate at 3000 souls, you immediately want to start hunting for kills. If you think you have kill pressure in your lane, start there. But if you're behind in your lane or your enemy is just playing too far back, look to adjacent lanes for gank opportunities.
Take care of him, Maurice!
The 3 main priorities for mid-game are always taking down guardians and walkers, killing jungle camps, and collecting the soul urn. But Mo&Krill should also be looking for gank opportunities with his burrow combo whenever possible. The best ganks are those which enable you to confirm one of the 3 main objectives. At tier 1, combo is about a minute cooldown, so don't be afraid to use it even if you're going to get the kill anyway. You receive 30 to your max health every time you get a kill or assist within a 3-second window during or after your ult. It isn't much, but it does add up quick if you're getting kills with it often. Your big items in the mid game are Phantom Strike and Surge of Power. Surge of Power and Phantom Strike massively increase your ability to catch enemies with your ult. In the mid game, you want to be scanning the map for gank opportunities whenever your ult is off cooldown, then focusing on soul farm whenever it's down. You move very fast through the map, so you can be roaming quite a bit. You can switch between cleaning up pushed in lanes, clearing jungle camps, running the urn, and helping teammates in fights. Some of the best gank opportunities are when the enemy is overextended themselves. In these scenarios, your team is much more likely to follow up on your combo than if you're to try to dive onto the enemy in their territory. Combo doesn't do much damage on its own, so you're relying on your teammates to follow up when you lock someone down. Don't fall into the trap of overfighting or overgrouping. Although Mo&Krill is a strong fighter, you don't need to chase kills constantly, and you don't need to team fight. Focusing on this too much will slow your macro and limit your soul farm. Also, it's worth noting that Mo&Krill is much better in smaller skirmishes. In full 6v6 team fights, it's trickier to isolate and execute a target on the enemy team. The enemy will focus you down and or do anything in their power to save their teammate, i.e. rescue beam, cube, quantum entanglement, spectral wall, paradoxical swap, you get the idea.
Maurice, now! Maul him!
Late game is not much different than mid game, except the priority for a successful gank goes way up. The longer respawn timer really raises the stakes and makes you even more of a threat. Killing a single enemy late game could snowball into mid-boss, shrine, or even ending the game. I like to hunt for these picks by hiding in the jungle or on top of buildings near lanes. When taking mid-boss, Mo&Krill isn't quite as useful as some other heroes like Lash or Kelvin, but you do provide some very impactful support. I like to stand on top of the mid-boss pit and look to lock down the biggest threat with combo. So if the enemy team has a Lash for instance, I'll prioritize stopping his ultimate every time. As long as they don't have Unstoppable, combo will stop any channeled ability.
We have you now!
I'd like to start with a quick preface here. You can build Mo&Krill in a ton of different ways. This build is what I'm currently running, but even I change builds constantly depending on matchups and how I'd like to play. Build what you like and what helps you win games. If you're new to the hero or just want a solid build, feel free to follow what I have here. The full build with notes will be public once this video is out. You can find it as Bavin's Burrower build. Here are the items I typically build during the laning phase. I may skip some if I'm ahead and can afford higher tier items. Here are the items I usually build mid-game. This can vary quite a bit depending on the game. Here is a pretty standard late game build. Now I'll provide some quick notes about some of the integral or situational items. Fleet Footwork. This is a cheap weapon item that gives you some very helpful movement utility early on, while providing some extra ammo as well. This can be sold late game for more expensive actives. Phantom Strike. This is your bread and butter gap closer to use combo. One note I'll give with this is don't always use it right away. If you can get on top of your target without it, hold it at first. I like to start with Burrow, jump out on my target, shoot them, then as they're escaping, Phantom Strike and ult them. By this point, your Burrow may be back off cooldown to finish them off. Warpstone. Warpstone has infinite uses for gap closing, escaping, and traversing between objectives. A noteworthy benefit of Warpstone for Mo&Krill is being able to hop over terrain while in Burrow. You cannot jump or climb terrain while in Burrow, so without Warpstone, you can run into some issues with chasing or escaping because of railings and terrain. With Warpstone, you can essentially jump while in Burrow. This opens up a ton of options for burrow and pathing. Here are a few I use often. Torment Pulse. This is a great item for Mo&Krill, but it makes ganking through lanes awkward. It will activate if you travel through an enemy creep wave, causing you to drop your full sprint speed. This can mess up your escapes and your ganks if you're not careful. For this reason, I've been experimenting with builds that skip this item. It's pretty tough to skip though because it provides damage on par with your burrow attack. Enchanter's Barrier. This item is great early on because it gives you a bit of tankiness while also boosting your burst damage. Especially if you're ahead, this is a great buy. I don't love it though because I typically want a bunch of other vitality items and it's hard to justify a 1250 item taking up a whole item slot. Metal Skin. I've been liking this item more and more lately. For certain games, it's a must buy. But for almost any game, it's a solid pickup. Using it right before your ult pretty much guarantees you won't be killed while channeling. At a 21-second cooldown, you'll be able to use this every time you come out of burrow as well. I have similar feelings about return fire as well, and at 1250 it's a pretty cheap item to pick up. Debuff Remover. Versus Bebop, Pocket, Infernus, Seven, and many other heroes, this item is very helpful. You're such a big target as Mo&Krill, so you collect a bunch of debuffs when you engage near the enemy team. Sometimes I run into the issue of trying to escape a teamfight, but I have a whole grocery list of debuffs that are slowing me down so I can barely move. Being able to hit burrow, then remove all the debuffs, allows you to escape almost any engagement. Improved Burst. This item can be great if you can get your scorn damage above the 125 threshold. You're usually only buying this if you're going a super spirit heavy carry build. Also, it's worth noting this does not work with your burrow.
We still have some fight left in us.
Make sure to always hit R before channeling your ult. You can reload while ulting if it's already in process, but you cannot start a reload while ulting. Similarly, make sure to always have your weapon reloaded while in burrow. This can be done at any time. You can pull Mo&Krill and his combo target with your rescue beam. This can also be used as a counter against Mo&Krill if he's on the enemy team. When you use Sandblast at short range, be ready to parry because there's a good chance they will try to melee you. With the recent addition of ability and item quick cast, make sure to turn on item quick cast for Mo&Krill. It makes your Phantom Strike ult combo a lot faster and easier to execute. Late game, try to avoid pushing out lanes yourself. Instead, focus on clearing jungle camps near the lanes. As Mo&Krill, you want to be out of vision as much as possible. It's hard for you to get on top of targets if they know exactly where you are. You can carry the urn while in burrow. Just start your burrow right before picking it up. You should be able to make it halfway across the map while still in burrow. You can also turn in the urn while in burrow. Just drop the urn near the altar, start your burrow, and pick it up again. Now, you're much less vulnerable while turning in the urn. This can be extremely helpful if the enemy team is heavily contesting the altar. That's all for now. If there's any tips or tricks I missed, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.